Shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom. His brother Raya, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Mashiach, Malak Yahushua. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that go out there and labor on the highways and byways, making their body live in sacrifice. In the rain, the tumults, the demons, the uprisers, the uproars, they're out there standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that are not out there as of yet, but they're building themselves up by reading, praying, fasting, being diligent, on fire for the Lord, doing everything they can do to magnify the name of the Lord, man. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty Akwaf in this thing that actually reverence their husbands, being teachers of good things to the children at home, being quiet, shamefaced, submissive, loving, steadfast, cooking, sewing, cleaning, doing all of the righteous acts of our foremothers, standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Another strong shalom to the Akwaf that are not married as of yet, but they're building themselves up, being quiet, shamefaced, submissive, loving, steadfast. They're doing everything they can do to put their brick in the last days. You understand? And last but not least, another strong shalom to all of the mighty children in this thing, right? That are on fire, abstaining from all lust, concupiscence, right? And peer pressure, standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. There's going to be an in-depth breakdown of Revelation, the 14th chapter, right? The harvest, the end of the world, and redemption, right? And I'm going to bring this out real fast. Brothers could bear with me. I'm going to share my screen. All right. And we're going to jump straight into this thing through the Spirit. Let's go to Revelation, the 14th chapter. Right? And before we get this, all right, let's go to the book of Sirach. Sirach chapter 39. Because you have to be occupied and stand in prophecies in the last days, man. Right? It's the book of Sirach, right? Chapter 39 and verse number 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied, right, in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancients and be occupied in prophecies, man. So the Lord told you that you'll be occupied in prophecies, right? If you got your mind to the Most High God. Now, if you got your mind to TV, damn music, social media, getting drunk, disrespecting your household or doing God knows what, the Lord isn't going to deal with you, man. Your mind has to be occupied upon the Lord 24/7. That's not just when you feel like it. No, your mind has to be on prophecies, man. These prophecies are unrolling and coming to pass every single day. While you're being slothful, while you're going off, while you're not being diligent and steadfast, man. Right? It says, he will keep the saying of the renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also. So the same way you see drinking, damn sex, violence, drug dealing, do you see nigger men and women? Because they're met right there. The same way you're going to see subtle parables, you're going to see damn prophecies, you're going to see in-depth breakdowns and secrets, you're going to see the apostles and disciples and men of the Lord. You understand? The same way. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 14, right? And verse number 1. And it reads, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having their father's name written in their foreheads. Now, what is this talking about? Let's go to the book, the second Esdras, chapter 2. Because these accounts play off one another. So as the 144,000 was sitting upon the mountain, that was the same vision that Ezra saw in second Esdras, the second chapter. It's the book of second Esdras, right, chapter 2, and verse, I'm going to start at 42. I, Ezra, saw upon Mount Sinai a great people. So it's called a great people in one. It's called an innumerable multitude, right? It's called the 144,000. These are all different accounts, but the same spirit and the same prophecy, whom I could not number. And they all praise the Lord with songs. So we're going to be turning up, Lord willing, for be the Most High's will in the second wilderness. After we've received our crowns and the Lord breaks down in the wilderness who's going to be where? The armies, the ranks, the statuses, who men are back on the earth, the in-depth manner, you understand, and being immortal. It says, and in the midst of them, there was a young man of high stature, talking about Yahushua, taller than all the rest, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So I asked the angel and said, sir, what are these? Who are these men? Who are the 144,000? Who is this great innumerable multitude that's standing upon Mount Sinai, man? And he answered and said unto me, these be they that have put off the mortal clothing. Are you putting off the mortal clothing in the last days, man? Or are you still wearing being a nigga? Are you still trying to fight off the spiritual demon Satan and it keeps overcoming you, man? Are you still trying to fight off that cigarette? Fight off that lustful and slothful demon, man? What are you still fighting where you have that mortal clothing on, man? If you get home from work, you're not still gonna wear your janitor's outfit, your bus driver's uniform, man. Your nurse get up, man. You taking that thing off, man. You're washing it and you're getting comfortable. The same way, man, we got out of the world, man. And we escaped through the breath of our head, destruction. The Most High had mercy upon us. But who are you to put that same thing back on, man? That's off. Let me get this quick precept. The book. All right, bear with me. I'm gonna pull this quick precept in the book, A Song of Solomon. Right, let's go to the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 5. Right, this is the book of Song of Solomon, right, chapter 5, right, and I'm gonna start at verse number 3. I have put off my coat, how shall I put it on? I have washed my feet, how shall I defile them? Hey man, we used to wear the mortal clothing, man. A lot of women, they used to be whores. A lot of men, they used to be drug dealers and all type of vanity and slothfulness and wickedness, man. And the Lord said, these be they that had put off the mortal clothing and have put on immortal and have confessed the name of God. Now are they crowned and receive palms, man. So we confess the name of the Lord, meaning the statutes and judgments and the spirit that the Lord was moving in. Then said I unto the angel, what young person is this that crowneth them and giveth them psalms in their hands? He answered me and said unto me, it is the Son of God whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord. So he said, then I commended those men that stood so stiffly, man. Because it's going to be hard to be the laughing stock, to be somebody that has to read, pray, and fast while everybody's having fun. Everybody's at the club, they're getting high, they're doing their lust of their flesh, they relax, they watching TV. Then you got the men and women of the Lord that don't want lives late at night, that are studying. It's not on folly conversations and calls, man. It says what? I'm going to read that again. So I answered and said unto me, it is the Son of God whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord. Then the angel said unto me, go thy way and tell my people what manner of things and how great wonders of the Lord thou hast seen. So as John is getting the same revelation, you understand, as Ezra. Now, when you read this again, I'm going to read this again. This Revelation, chapter 14 and verse 1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb, which is Yahushua the righteous, stood upon Mount Sinai, which is tall in stature, in second Esdras, the second chapter, and with him 144,000, right, having their father's name written in their foreheads. What does that mean? His name is written in your forehead, man. What is that talking about? Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, right, chapter 11. Let's go into this thing, right? It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11, and verse number 18. Therefore should ye lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. Meaning this law is supposed to be where? It's supposed to be in your forehead. Your forehead is your mind, your spirit. Your every thought should be the thought of Yahushua, man. If your thought isn't the thought of Yahushua, then you're going off, man. You're being weak. You're being slothful. You're giving in to seducing demons and spirits, man. Right? Let me bring this out. Wisdom of Solomon, the 6th chapter. What does it mean the Father's name has to be written in your forehead? It's the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6 and verse 16. For she goeth about seeking such as worthy of her, talking about wisdom. She sueth herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every thought. So wisdom is going to meet you in your mind, and every single thought that you have is going to be wisdom. So if the Father's name is written in your forehead, then that must mean, let's go to Isaiah chapter, right? Let me get this real fast. 8 and 16. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 8, and verse number 16. And it reads, bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples. So what's your father's name in your forehead? The law, the statutes, the commandments, the judgments. You understand the discernment, the discretion, the prophecies. These are all things that are written in the saints' foreheads, man. What's written in the saints' forehead now? How to do a Trey 5 deal, you know, the best sneakers and the year this Jordan came out and Folly and Madness, man. It's not in my forehead, right? It says Father's name written in their foreheads, meaning betwixt their minds, right? Verse 2, and I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters and as the voice of great thunder. What does it mean, a voice as of great thunder? That's the Most High. When you ever see that thunder, that's talking about the Most High, man. Let's go to the book of Job. Because the Most High's voice is as it were thunder. And that's literal. It's not parabolic. You know, the Most High just have a super deep voice. No, the Most High's voice is so strong, it's like thunder is roaring. This is the book of Job, chapter 37, in verse number 2. It says, hear attentively the noise of his voice and the sound that goeth out of his mouth. He directeth it under the whole heaven, and his lightning unto the ends of the earth. After it a voice roareth. He thundereth with the voice of his excellency, and he will not stay them when his voice is heard, man. Check that out, man. So the Most High, when he speak, it's like thunder. You know, when you was a kid and it was thundering outside and the damn dogs barking, everybody going crazy. You know, you're trying to cut off the lights in your house, people ducking under the bed. That's the Most High when he speaks, man. And that's deep. Let's go to the book of Revelation, the 4th chapter. Let's go into this thing. Right? It's the book of Revelation, chapter 4, right? And verse number 4. And it reads, I'm going to start at verse number 3. It says, and he sat, and he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne, and a sight like unto an emerald. Talking about the Most High in the throne. As John goes up in the 4th chapter in the tabernacle of witness, presenting himself before the Lord in a vision. Right? Verse 4. And round about the throne were 24 seats, which is the heavenly Sanhedrin, right? The 24 elders. And upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white, the righteousness of the saints, raiment, and they had on their heads crowns of gold. That's what kings wear. It's the point. And out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunders. Now, that's not a parabolic way of saying it was a rainstorm, man, in the third heaven. Michael and all of the angel had to grab umbrellas, right? The 24 beasts that had to get under a damn gazebo. No, man. That's the Most High excellently speaking, man. And it's thundering in the heavens. As the angels fly around in heaven, that's like the Most High and when his voice speaketh. You read about that in the book of Ezekiel, man. The 10th chapter. And we're going to get all of these things through the Spirit. Now, these are the mysteries, man. You may know, well, how's the Most High, how does he sound? Is he loud? Is he... next time it run a damn thunderstorm, think of the Most High, man. And you don't understand a thunderstorm. Nobody understands a thunderstorm. Nobody can understand the Most High when he speaks. That's when John got this, it said, out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunders and voices. And there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. Meaning nobody can know what the Most High is actually saying, man. Let's go to the book of Revelation, the 10th chapter. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 10, right? And I'm going to start at verse 7. But in the days of the voice of the 7th angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mysteries of God should be finished, as he have declared to his servants, the prophets. So what are given it to? The prophets. Let's jump to verse 4, right? I'm going to start at 3. And he cried with a loud voice as when a lion roareth, and when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices, man. 7 is a number of completion, right? Now, the thunders would be the Most High's voice. So 7 thunders uttered their voices, meaning the Most High speaking mysteries and allegories and similitudes not known for man to perceive nor understand. And when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write. Meaning John was in his vision. He's in the 3rd heaven. He hearing the Most High speak. And he was about to write, right? And I heard a voice from heaven saying to me, seal up those things which the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not. So don't write the mystery of the Lord, man. Don't give it all away. Keep it back because you can't perceive all of the things of the Lord, man. And that's deep. Let's go to the book of Second Corinthians. One more precept on that. Chapter 12. The Second Corinthians chapter 12, right? And I'm going to start at verse 2. I knew a man in Yahushua above 14 years ago. Whether in the body I cannot tell, or whether out of the body I cannot tell. God knoweth. Such an one caught up into the third heaven. And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I could not tell. God knoweth. This is the point. How that he was caught up into paradise, meaning the third heaven, and heard unspeakable words. What are these unspeakable words that he's hearing? The Most High speak. You make it hear the prophets. You make it hear the angel. You understand? The Most High may speak to you in visions, but to hear the Most High or see the Most High and him speak, and you understand what those thunders are saying, those are unspeakable words, which it is not lawful for man to utter. The Lord said it's not even lawful for you to tell and understand certain things, man. Let's go back to the book of Revelation. That's like you and your wife, or you and your father, or you with your brothers. Everything you tell them ain't for everybody to know, man. Right? It's the book of Revelation, chapter 14 and verse 2. And it reads, and I heard the voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, talking about the Most High, right? And the voice of a great thunder, right? So you got Yahushua, the waters, the great thunder, the Most High. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. So you got the harpers harping with their harps. Let's go to the book of Revelation, the 5th chapter. Harping with their harps, man. The 24 elders and the 4 beasts. Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 5 and verse 8. And when he had taken the book, right, meaning the seals, Yahushua the righteous, the 4 beasts and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. So you have those harps on those golden vials, which who has? The 24 elders, which hold the prayers of the saints, presented before the Heavenly Father, Bahashem Yahushua, and the 4 beasts. So going back to Revelation, and a lot of Revelation could be explained within itself. You don't have to go to Mark. You don't have to go to John, even though you can. It's applicable. You can apply it. You understand? You can go into Isaiah. You can go into Ezekiel. You can go into Daniel. But nevertheless, just like the law will explain itself within the law. The precepts, you understand, in Revelation, as well as Song of Solomon and other books like Psalms can be explained within themselves, right? This is verse number 2. Salaki verse 3. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne and before the 4 beasts and the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. Now, what is this song? Yeah, the ancient song, you understand, in the ancient world, which was the song of Moses. All right? Let's go to it. It's Deuteronomy, I believe that's 31 and around, you see, around 21, 22-ish. All right? There we go, 22. Right? So you had a song of Moses in the ancient world. And this was a physical song, man, and a spiritual song. It says Moses therefore wrote this song the same day and taught it, right, the children of Israel. So you have an ancient song of Moses, right? Then you have a spiritual song of Moses. That don't mean in the second wilderness when we receive our crowns upon our head, we're going to say, in the 32nd chapter, the song. Then we're going to start singing it, and we're going to have the altos, the tenors. Then you got the pipers piping with their pipes. And David is going to set the Levites on order, and everybody's going to turn up, man. Lord can have it happen however you want through the spirit, but nevertheless, it's more as a spiritual song. Now, when you go to the prayer of Azariah, let me go to this real fast. All right? Now, this is the prayer of Azariah. And I want to get this real fast, and I'm going to start at verse 28. It says, then the three, as out of one mouth, praised, glorified, and blessed God in the furnace, saying, Blessed art thou, O Lord, God of our fathers, and to be praised and exalted above all forever. And then they're all in one unison, praising the Lord in song. You understand? So the same way they was praising the Most High while Yahweh shot in song on one accord is the same way we're going to be turning up in those chariots and upon that mountain, man. Right? Like I said, it was an ancient song of Moses, and you're going to have a spiritual song. So all songs aren't physical. You have pipers piping with their pipes, right? Which are demonic, right? And you read about that in the book of Isaiah. So you got all type of songs. Now everything isn't physical. You're like, okay, well, I perceive it, I understand it, I hear it. You don't hear it. Every song isn't to be heard. This is the book of Isaiah, right? Chapter 24 and verse number 8. It says, the mirth of tabrets cease, the noise of them that rejoiceth endeth, the joy of the harp cease. Now, where's the harp at in Babylon, man? Where's this harp? And well, who's playing it, man? The harp is ancient. You don't have a lot of men playing the harp anymore, man. It's more an ancient thing. Nevertheless, you still have people that play it. But where is this harp at in Babylon? It's more of a spiritual thing. You understand? The same way we're going to be spiritually praising the Most High while Yahweh Shai. Going back to the book of Revelation chapter 14 and verse 3. And they sung as if it were a new song before the throne and before the beast, four beasts, and the elders. And no man can learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. So you have the 1/3, and then you have the 144,000. So they're going to be the only ones that know this song on a deeper level, man. Right? So, I mean, you definitely have classes. Don't just think that everybody's going to be on the same accord in the kingdom of heaven. That's why we went into it last week. I did an in-depth breakdown on the second wilderness. If you haven't seen it, it's like 2 hours and 30 minutes. It goes into the rank, the classes, the judgments, the prophecies. It's very in-depth if you don't know and you haven't seen it. They're going to it, right? Let's go to verse. Matter of fact, let me pull another precept on that. That's going to be the same thing we're doing in those chariots. Like you read about in the book of Revelation, chapter 15. It's turning up in song. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 15 and verse, right? Number 2. And I saw as if it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, right? The firmament, and under it the nuclear destruction. And with them that have gotten the victory, the saints over the beast, right? Babylon, and over his image, right? And over his mark, and over the number of his name, right? The image of what he's coming in, the mark, what he gives you, and over the number of his name, and all that witchcraft bowed in the one which is wickedness, shall stand on a sea of glass, having the harps of God. So they're going to be received these spiritual harps to be able to play and sing before the Heavenly Father, which nobody else knows but the elect. Verse 4. These are they which were not defiled with women. You have multiple women, man. Don't just think there's one woman. It's just Babylon. It's multiple whores, man. Let's go to the book of Song of Solomon, man. I believe that's the 6th chapter, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see real fast. It's the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 6, and verse 8. It says, there are 80 queens, and 80 concubines, and virgins without number. So there are many women, man. Now, on a parabolical level, you understand this is dealing with different nations and different philosophies. Everybody's a queen. You understand? You may have the Arabs. They could be a queen. You have the Africans. They could be a queen. You can have Esau and their structure. They could be a queen. You can have concubines, like lower nations. You understand, like the Filipinos, the Hawaiians, and Indonesia, and things like that, the so-called East Indians. And then you have virgins without number, right? You may have many virgins. So-called America is a virgin, even though it's the chief whore, because it's undefiled on a bomb level to be destroyed, right? It says, my dove, which is Israel, is undefiled. And but one, she is the only one of her mother. She is the choice one at her Slakia, the choice one of her that bared her. The daughters saw her. Well, who are the daughters? The different nations. They all saw Israel. And who are these daughters? They're queens. They're nobles. they're whores, they're concubines, they're virgins. All of these different nations are women. So philosophies could be women, doctrines could be women, ideologies could be women, nations could be women. There are multiple women's, man. Don't just think it's just one whore, which is Babylon. It's multiple whores, man. I'm gonna come back to that. But nevertheless, Babylon is the chief whore, man. The chief daughter of witchcraft. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 7, in verse number 12. Now is she without, now in the streets, and lieth in wait at every corner. Who lies in wait at every single corner, man? Babylon, to catch you with her education, to catch you with her drugs, to catch you with her damn social media, man, and her stereotypes, and all of her chief witchcraft, which she plays that spiritual harp, and men with no understanding, they get drawn in, man. Like that damn cartoon, Tom and Jerry. The damn white woman put the pie on the window, and then you got the little smelly thing, man. The smell thing kind of travel, right? Then you see Tom, he smell it. Then he just get led away, start shucking and jiving to the damn window, man. That's how you is on a spiritual level to these philosophies, these doctrines, and all sex and mischief. You get caught away, and the spiritual demon Satan leads you right to the trap, right? Going back to the Song of Solomon, right? It says, verse 9, my dove is defiled, it's like undefiled, is but one. She is the only one of her mother. She is the choice one that bared her. The daughter saw her and blessed her. Yeah, the queens and concubines, yeah, they praised her. So who's the chief one? You already know, man. Israel, right? Let's go back to Revelation, right? Verse 4. These are they which were not defiled with women. Notice it said not defiled with women because there are multiple women. 4, they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb wheresoever he goeth. What does it mean they follow the Lamb wheresoever he goeth, man? Let's go to the book of Song of Solomon, the 1st chapter, and let's go to the book of Matthew, the 8th chapter, man. Because everybody said he want to follow the Lord, but nobody wants to actually follow the Lord, man. You follow the Lord in your own understanding. You follow the Lord when it feels right for you. You follow the Lord at your own discretion and discernment. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 8, and verse 18. Now, when Yahushua saw great multitudes about him, he gave commandment, right? Shalak, is this what I want? Gave commandment to depart into the other side. And a certain scribe came and said unto him, Master, I will follow thee whatsoever thou goest. You may say that right now. Lord, I'm going to pray, I'm going to fast, I'm going to follow you whatsoever you go. You say that now, but are you going to end up like Peter, man? Because Peter denied the Lord. Not that Peter was wicked or Peter was off. Peter had a weak moment. His zeal led him to think that he could do things that the Lord didn't have in store for him, man. You may feel like through your zeal right now, you want to serve the Lord unto death. But then you bow down in the last second before you get your head chopped off, man. Or you start worshiping the spiritual demon Satan. It says, and Yahushua saith unto him, the foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man have nowhere to lay his head. And another of his disciples said unto him, Lord, suffer me first that I may go bury my father. And that's a very, very deep thing to bury your father, man. That's chief. You have to bury your father. That's in the law. You have to give him a proper burial. But Yahushua said unto him, follow me and let the dead bury the dead, man. If you had no understanding and you was out the spirit, you may say to yourself, damn, that's kind of rude. That's kind of messed up. What are you? The law says this. And then you start bucking up against the Lord, man. The Lord may tell you something that you don't find comely. You're going to have to die. Oh, don't. Your wife's going to get destroyed. Your children is going to die. Hey, the Lord told David his son was going to die, man. That's not comely to hear. But are you going to follow the Lord no matter how hard it gets, how rough it gets, and to death? Because the elect is, man. They said they followed the Lord whatsoever he went, man. Let's go to the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse number 4. It says, draw me, we will run after thee. What does it mean we will run after thee, man? Because everybody's not running after the Lord. They're skipping, half-assing, and tripping and falling. Oh, I hurt myself. I need help. Somebody lift me up. Nobody's chasing and running after the Lord, man. Hey, Peter and John had a race to go see the Lord. You understand in the resurrection. It's the book of Luke, chapter 5, and verse 1. And it came to pass that as the people pressed upon him to hear the word of God, he stood by the lake of Gershon. It said they was pressing him to hear the word. Are you pressing to read, pressing to watch the videos, pressing to fast, pressing to stay in the spirit? Because the elect are, man. Let me get this other quick precept. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 19, and verse 1. The elect is not going to just make it, man. You know when they say, well, it's last call for the store for the discount to use it, and then everybody rushing and throwing their thing on the counter and trying to hurry up for the thing closed. That's not going to be the elect. It's Matthew 19 and verse 1. And it came to pass that when Yahushua had finished these sayings, he departed from Galilee and came into the coast of Judea beyond Jordan. So the Lord traveled from Galilee all the way down to Judea, and great multitudes followed him. Can you imagine whatever state you are, going from your state all the way to Texas on foot? The Lord didn't have a majestic donkey that everybody ride. He said, loading up like it's a damn school bus, man. He pull up on a majestic donkey and everybody hop on and get a free ride down from Galilee, Judea. Their feet were hurt. They were swollen. I'm led to believe a lot of people dropped off on the way. It's too long of a journey. I can't do it. And the Lord just on the move. On the move, man. Check this out. And great multitudes followed him, and he healed them there. So he didn't heal them in Galilee. He healed them once they got to Judea. Meaning once they endured on that long journey, that's when they got the reward of being healed. The same way the elect are going to follow the Lord, man. In the rainstorms, the blizzards, when to follow him when it's rough. You understand? When they don't feel like it. Oh, man, my mom just died. I still got to read. They're going to press through everything to praise the Lord, man. It says, these are they which follow the Lamb whatsoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. So you have fruits and then you have first fruits, right? Let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras. Salaki. All right, you might have to type it in. All right, Salaki, bear with me. I believe that's 9 and 31, right? Let me see if I can get this real fast. This is the book of 2nd Esdras 9 and 31. Behold, behold, I sow my law in you, and it shall bring forth fruit in you. So you got two type of fruits. You got the fruits of the spirit, and you got the fruit of the law. And not a lot of people know that. All they harp on is the fruits of the spirit. They don't even know that the Lord has put a seed in you to bring forth fruit according to the law. And don't nobody want to study the law. All they want to study is damn prophecy. Or all they want to study is Proverbs 31. Or all they want to study is damn Ecclesiastes all day. It says, for behold, I sow my law in you. So to bring forth fruit, you have to have a seed. So as the Lord plants the seed, he's doing what? He's planting the seed of the law, and he's planting the fruits of the spirit. And the elect are going to bring forth bowels of mercy. They're going to bring forth long forbearing. They're going to bring forth gentleness. They're going to bring forth love. They're going to bring forth these things. And in the law, you're going to bring forth these things. And it shall bring forth, so like it bring fruit in you, and ye shall be honored in it forever. Not just a little while, forever, right? Then you have the fruits of the spirit. Let's go to the book, right? Hosea chapter 9 and verse 10. It's the book of Hosea chapter 9, right? In verse number 7. And it reads, I'm going to start at 10. I found Israel like grapes in the wilderness. So what are we likening it to? We're likening it to a vineyard, and we're likening it to grapes. You have sour grapes. You have degenerate grapes. You have strange fruit. You have strange plants. All throughout the Bible. Let's go to the book real fast, Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 1. It says what? Now will I sing to my beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My beloved had a vineyard in a very fruitful hill. So the fruitful hill is Jerusalem. The fruit is who? You understand? The chief ones. The vineyard is the nation. And he fenced it, meaning protected it with angels, and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choice vine. Now that choice vine is Judah. You may have this vine in your vineyard, this vine. This vine is very slow, it's very it's weak. And then you have that strong vine. Yahweh is likened to that, man, which give of life to the fruit, like you read about in John chapter 15 and verse 1. And built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a wine press therein. Because how do you make wine with grapes? And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes, meaning niggas, man. Soggy grapes. Don't nobody want no grape that's soggy. It stink. It got a hole in it. It got a worm, half head in his, damn tail on the other side. You got a fly. Keep landing on it, man. Don't nobody want that. What type of fruit do you desire? You understand? Chiefly if you're a gardener. Who's the gardener? Yahushua. He gardens the nation. The Most High is the husbandman. He oversees it. Let's go to the book. A Song of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 1. This thy stature is like a palm tree, and thy breasts to clusters of grapes. Check that out. So a cluster, you understand, on a vine is very small. You may have 20 grapes, 18, 10, 7, whatever the case may be on a cluster. But those grapes, they have to be strong. They have to be plumped, right? Let's go to 2nd Esdras. Matter of fact, I don't want to pull too many precepts on it, right? But nevertheless, let's go back to Hosea chapter 10. I found Israel like grapes in the wilderness. I saw your fathers as the first ripe in the fig tree at the first time. But they went to Belor Peor and separated themselves into that shame, and their abominations were according as they loved, man. Check that out. So you may have the first ripe grapes, and then you will have regular grapes. So, I mean, the Most High, he not playing, man. If you have a vineyard, you want that thing to bring forth fruit. Or you might just chop it down, man. Hew it down. Feed it to the animals. Cast it abroad out of the vineyard. So these things are deep. And you have the first ripe fruit, right? And then you have the regular fruit. Let me get the book of James. Chapter 1 and verse 18. And it reads. It says, of his own will begat he us with the word of truth, meaning we were born again through the Spirit, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creature, that we should be born again and become the first fruits of Yahushua, man. You understand? The first fruits on a deeper level are the elect, right? Then you have the first fruits which were our forefathers in the wilderness. So the first fruits, they're manyfold, right? Let's go back to it. It's Revelation chapter 14. Right? In verse number 5. And in their mouth was no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. Does that mean that these men never went off? They never sinned a day in their life? What does it mean in their mouth was found no guile? Because they repented. They were on fire. They were cleansed of their sins. They fasted all throughout the days when men were laughing and joking. They were building while men were at rest. They were reading while men were watching TV, man. They were teaching while men were being slothful. They were doing things that men didn't want to do, and they carried the cross of Yahushua, and in their mouth was no guile, man. Every man has committed iniquity and sin. Every man has fallen short from the glory of Yahushua. You go to the book of Job, right, chapter 8, in verse 20. It says, behold, God will not cast away a perfect man, neither will he help the evildoers, man. So the Lord's not going to help an evildoer, and he won't cast away a perfect man. Now, with that being said, verse 20, Job chapter 7, verse 20, I have sinned. What shall I do unto thee, O thou perverse of men? Why hast thou yet set me as a mark against thee, so that I am a burden to myself? Right? And why doest thou not pardon my transgression and take away mine iniquity? For now should I sleep in the dust, and thou shalt seek me in the morning, but I shall not be. So the Most High is the one that does what? Pardons your transgressions, delivers you from iniquity. So you're going to have in the last days what they call the mercies of David. So it's not of your own will, it's not of your own strength, it's not how you feel. It's the sure mercies of David, man. Nobody could say I'm gonna strive to be the elect constantly, and you could read. You could do all of that, but on the deeper level, the Lord got to call you for that. I mean, you got to really think about this thing, man. You got average people in the truth. You got people that just watch videos. You got people that labor, and you got just people that's just jacked up and addicted, man. That's all they want to do. They don't care about carnivals and movies, and reading folly books and being on Clubhouse all damn day and jumping in circles and catching up on binge watch. They don't care about none of that. All they want to do is serve the Lord, right? It's the book of Isaiah chapter 55, right? And verse, I'm going to start at, this whole thing is fire, man, right? I'm going to start at, so I can bear with me. I'm going to start at 3. Incline your ear and come unto me. Hear, and your soul shall live, and I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. So the elect are going to have mercies, and the Lord is going to requite and give you according to your righteousness as well. So whatever you put out is what the Most High is going to give you back. That's very important, man. Let me get one more precept on that. Psalm chapter 18 and verse number 20, and it reads, the Lord rewardeth me according to my righteousness. So don't ask why you don't have mercy and grace. It wasn't because the Lord didn't necessarily want to give it to you, because what you put in is what you're going to get out. Whatever man soweth, that shall he also reap, man. So if you sow bowels of mercy in the things of the elect, you'll get that back if it be your lot and will. According to the cleanness of my hands have he recompensed me. So when it says, in their mouth was no guile, for they were without fault before the throne of God. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven. Now, you got these angels. You got cherubims, you got cherubims, you got the angel that stands in the sun. You got the 4 beasts, you got the 24 elders, right? You have literally Uriel, the angel of light. You have Raphael, the healing angel. You got Micah Allah, you got Micah, the war angel. You got all of these different angels, man. Gabriel. You got all of these different angels that come before and do the will of the Lord, man. They have their different lots and spirits. Now it says another angel flied in the midst of heaven. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel chapter 10. Let's get more of a in-depth of what that kind of was like, right? And let's go to the book. This whole thing is fire. Right, so like it, bear with me. This is the book of Ezekiel chapter 10 and verse 21. Every one had 4 faces apiece, and every one 4 wings. And the likeness of the hands of man was under their wings. And the likeness of their faces was the same faces that I saw by the river of Chebar. Their appearance and themselves, they went everyone straight forward. Now, I want to get this quick precept. Right, so like it, bear with me. Go to Ezekiel, the 1st chapter. It's the book of Ezekiel, right? Chapter 1 and verse. I'm gonna start at I don't want to read too much. I'm gonna start at 28, right? Matter of fact, I'm gonna start at 28. As the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the rain, it's like the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake. So these angels, man, I mean, some of them have 4 wings. Some of them have 6 wings, man. 4 faces, hoofs. These angels look something terrible, man. Their voices are real strong, right? And they don't go to sleep. They don't sit there and play any games, man. You got certain angels that were created just to praise the Most High 24/7, man. They were on fire. They rejoice at his commandment when need be to come on earth. They do mischief, evil, you understand, and make men's minds to be terrorized, by plagues, thoughts, terrors by night. So these angels are something serious, man. So as this angel I saw flying in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach. And gospel was good news unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. So you have different angels that are messengers that come to bring the words of life, like you did Ezra and Uriel. And matter of fact, angels don't know everything, man. Right? Let me get that in second Esdras. So when this angel has the everlasting gospel to preach, he's coming down with what the Lord gave him. He isn't coming and expounding a little bit more. He isn't breaking down prophecy on a higher level. So everybody is given the dispensation of the lot which the Lord can give them to receive and break down. And man, I may only know how to break down certain things, man. And then the Lord may cut me off or have me at a ceiling. Then somebody else could surpass me and have more understanding that I'm learning from. The same way these angels, the Lord gives them the gospel to preach or to go with a message, and that's what they have. Nothing more, nothing less. Right? This is the book. Salaki, I want to, if I can get this whole chapter. Salaki. Second Esdras chapter 4, and I'm going to start at 45. Matter of fact, I'm going to get straight to the point. 51. Right? So this angel, right, is coming down, and he's giving Ezra the breakdown, right? And 51, it says, I prayed. Then I prayed and said, may I live, thinkest thou, until that time? I mean, Ezra's like, man, am I going to survive this thing? Am I going to live? What's going to happen with my lot? Or what shall happen in those days? So he's asking the angel, what's going to happen in those days to come? And so like he answered me and said, as for the tokens whereof thou askest me, I may tell thee of them in part, but as touching thy life, I am not sent to shew thee, for I do not know it, man. So the angels don't know all things. You know, you have the prophets, the apostles. You have certain angels with different lots that are given certain messages to give to the prophets, man. So angels don't even know your latter end or certain things if the Lord doesn't expound it to them. So as he has the everlasting gospel to preach, that was given unto him to expound it to man, to every nation, right, kindred and tongue and people, which are the Israelites spread abroad. Verse, right, James 1:1, the book of Isaiah chapter 43, and verse 6 all the way down, and various of the precepts, right? Verse number 7, saying with a loud voice, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour is, it's like an hour of his judgment is come. And worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of water. So you have an hour reserved for judgment from the Heavenly Father, man. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, it's like in Revelation chapter 18. All right. It's the book of Revelation chapter 8, verse 18 to 21. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it in the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more, right, at all. So this thing is going down, and it's happening speedily. It's not going to take 15 hours, 15 days. This is verse 17. For in 1 hour, so great riches is come to naught. And every shipmaster and all company and ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off. So as in 1 hour, these things are coming to pass. The Lord said, I'm going to read this again. Verse 7, saying with a loud voice, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour is, so like an hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and fountains of water. And in twofold, it's a parabolic way of saying right now. When it says the hour, it means right now as well as twofold. Now, how do we know that? Let's go to the book of John, chapter 13, and verse 1, right? It's John 13:1. Now behold, the feast of the Passover, when Yahushua knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of the world. His hour, meaning right now, he knew that it was about to go down, you know, parabolically saying it. So that doesn't mean, you look at your stopwatch exactly, 59 seconds left. But nevertheless, it's not going to take long as well as happening right now, right? Unto the Father, having loved his own, which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. Man. Going back to Revelation, right? Chapter 14, verse 8. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, the great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, man. Which means she made all nations to drink. Meaning she force fed them, man. When you go to the book, right, as First Esdras 3 and 18, it tells you how wine can destroy you, man. How strong wine is. How it can manipulate your mind. How it can take you out and have you to be jollity, make you love everybody, can confuse you, doctrinize you, disease you, man. You don't want to drink wine on a spiritual level. The Lord said, women and wine make men of understanding. Right, I'm going to pull that precept for be the Most High. Right, this is the book of First Esdras chapter 1 and verse Salakia, chapter 3 and verse 18. And he said, thus, O ye men, how exceedingly strong is wine. It causeth all men to err that drink it. And it make the mind of the king and of the fatherless child to be all one. Now you're a king, man. You're literally a king walking the earth. You're a God walking the earth. The Lord said, maketh all the mind of the fatherless child and the king to be all one. Who wants to be under one mind in the world? Under the inhabitants thereof, man. That's folly. That's the so-called white man saying one nation under God. I don't want to be under one mind with all these nations. Then I would mean I would serve Sheba. Then I would serve Brahma. You understand? I would serve Caesar Borgias. I would serve the Mecca stone. I would serve all of the gods of the East Indians and all of the Arab gods and all of the Chinese gods and the year of the rat, the year of the dragon. I'll be bowing down to their customs. I'm not trying to be one mind of these people, man. We need to be one mind of Yahushua in the church, of the bondman and of the free man, of the poor man and of the rich. It turneth also every thought into jollity. What does it mean every thought is into jollity, man? Did not the Lord say, surely oppression make up a wise man mad? But you're always happy. You always get that nigga at his job. He can't wait to get off his Friday. He about to spend that money. He got a big ass blunt he want to smoke. He just getting real worldly. He just happy all the time. Always joking, always laughing. Brother, all hell about to break loose. The world's about to be destroyed. What the hell is it to be jollity and laugh about? Trying to go to fairs, basketball games, and tour the world, and go to Africa and London and Puerto Rico, man. It's not time for that. And mirth, so that a man remembereth neither sorrow nor depth. Any man that doesn't remember sorrow or depth isn't a man. Because if you don't remember sorrow, you forget about slavery. You forget about the rape, the robbery, the murder, the castration, the lies, right? The all wickedness that is pushed, the chemtrails, the undefiled things that the Heavenly Father is put, man. You understand that Esau takes and destroys it. He destroys animals and puts them in captivity. Now the Lord says, so that a man remembereth neither sorrow nor death. So once you get drunk off of Esau's wine, you forget about slavery. You don't care about your roots, because he's giving you what? Damn. What? What did he give you? Damn. Rosa Parks, man. He gave you Malcolm X. He gave you Martin Luther King. He gave you crumbs on a table. You licked your finger, you took those crumbs and you ate them all up, man. It says, and it maketh every heart rich, so that a man remembereth neither king nor governor. So now when you get drunk, you don't remember your kings or your governors. You forget about Nehemiah. You forget about King David. You forget about Josiah. You forget about Asa. You understand? You forget about Solomon. You forget about all of our forefathers that have been before us, man, that righteously led the executed counsel. You forget about Moses. You forget about all the men that were before us, man. And it maketh to speak all things by talents. So, I mean, I don't have to read the rest of it, but nevertheless, hey, man, this thing is deep. So as you drink it as wine at a fornication, guess what? It destroys you mentally. And also it's witchcraft presented before you. Let's go to Revelation chapter 18, right? In verse number 20, right? I'm going to start at 23. It says, and the light of the candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and the bride shall be no more heard at all in thee, for by thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. So America deceived you by its sorceries. And that sorcery isn't on a low level, man. They have dark councils, they have warlocks, they have witches that cast spells on the children of the light, man. Just like in Numbers, the 23rd chapter, man. Right? Chapter 22. Right? Let's go to it. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 14, and verse number 9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So as you receive and be doctrinized by America, America's the beast, you understand, it sits upon the throne. You have two beasts. You have the Roman Empire, right? And you have the revised Roman Empire, which is Babylon the Great. The first beast, you understand, is where Satan's seat dwells, like you read about in the book of Revelation, the second chapter, where Antipas, you understand, the faithful martyr, was martyred. Then you will have the second beast, which is what? Babylon the Great. And this beast, upon his throne, is giving you all type of mischief, lies, idolatry, witchcraft. And that's going to it, man. Because the Lord tells you what this beast is going to give you to drink in different ways. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 13 and 8. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life, slain before the foundation of the world. Right, Salakia? I want to read verse 5. That's what I wanted. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. So what's the most high given reign for this devil to do, man? A mouth speaking great things, which is going to seduce you. And that mouth speaking great things is manyfold, man. Christianity, or love everybody, one nation under God. The blasphemy isn't always curse the Most High. Die, die, die. Witchcraft, witchcraft, witchcraft on such a physical level for you to see and fear, because it's so subtilely presented before you that men eat it up. Verse number 6, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God. That's not always talking about his middle fingers is up to the third heaven, man. Although he does that, that's more subtly by changing all of the ordinances that the Most High has laid upside down to blaspheme his name, right? And his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. So he curses the angels. He curses the beloved Son. He cursed the Heavenly Father. He even curses his tabernacle that he dwells in. So don't think that this man is for your well-being and that these philosophies or things presented to you are on a low level, man. Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 17 and verse number 12. All right? You should get angry at this thing, man. It's the book of Job 17 and 12. They change the night into day, man. So while it's nighttime, they make it daytime. While it's daytime, they make it nighttime. And when it's up, it's down. When it's down, it's up. And when it's supposed to be war, it's really peace with the white man. When it's supposed to be peace, it's supposed to be war. He changes everything in the ordinances upside down, man. You know, it says, the light is short because of darkness. Check that out. Let's go back to it. Right? So you have the beast, right? Babylon, and his image, what he's coming and moving in, right? And received his mark in his forehead or in his hand. Now, let's go into the image real fast. It's the book of Exodus, chapter 23, and verse number 20, right? It says, behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, meaning beware of this angel, fear him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions. for my name is in him. So the name of the Most High is in this angel. That don't mean this angel is flopping around. He got the ancient Paleo Hebrew on his wings. Meaning the name, the image, you understand everything that this angel is coming in is coming of the Lord, man. And that's deep when you think about it. You don't want to come in the name of Satan or come in the name, you understand, of idolatry, wickedness, or madness. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 73 and verse 20. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 73 and verse 20, and it reads, as a dream when one awaketh, so, O Yahweh, Lord, when thou awakest, thou shalt despise their image. What does that mean, man? That the Lord is just going to despise Mona Lisa, despise Leonardo da Vinci's paintings? No, man, it's deeper than that. Despise the image of the beast, the Roman Colosseums all over again, man. The government structure that was presented, like you read about in damn Maccabees, man. First Maccabees 8. When you read about all of these different things, that the image of that first beast coming back on the earth again is the second beast, you should despise those things, man. Let's go back to it. It says, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. Now that mark is spiritual, but yet it could be physical, because it could be the so-called chip. Man. No one said it isn't the chip, but that goes to prove how more spiritual it is, because you could take the chip as well as philosophy, as well as anything. Because if Esau has your mind, you understand, then he can get you to do anything. Let me get the book of let me get this quick precept in Nehemiah chapter 9. Because that Father having your name in your forehead in the beginning of the chapter is spiritual. You understand? And the Lord said the law is spiritual. You're going to have physical things, but nevertheless, you cannot be defiled with his understanding for years and years and not take a physical condemnation of a mark implanted in your head and think you're going to get salvation. This is the book of Nehemiah chapter 9, right? In verse number 37. And it yieldeth much increase unto the kings, whom thou hast set over us because of our sins. Also, they have dominion over our bodies. So the Lord said, these kings, they have dominion over your body. When we were in slavery, they'll beat us silly, man. Knock us upside the head, brand us, whoop us, scourge us. And they had dominion over our bodies. And they raped our women because it was their possession. They have dominion over it. Hey, what the so-called white man, he could brand you. That's a mark on your body because he had dominion over it. You understand? Does that mean that, you know what, I guess I just lost? No, man. But just goes to show you that these kings, they had dominion over your bodies. These kings to this very day, that's what they do now. They try to have dominion over your body with all of these different plagues. They try to jab you. They try to stick you. They try to get you scared. And they try to pull you to implant in you and do God knows what, man. To have dominion over you just like they did in the ancient world. We're not going to move in that spirit. You understand? Now, brothers have done in-depth breakdowns of the mark of the beast. Now, I've done one. Other brothers have done one. We've done one as a whole. Right? You can go for more in-depth breakdown on the mark of the beast, man. Right? Which is spiritual, and it could be physical, man. Right? Nevertheless, if anybody could trap your mind into bowing down on a physical level, then they have to already have implanted you on a spiritual level to be serving the beast in the first place. Because the Lord said, all that dwell upon the earth shall worship the beast whose names are not written in the book of the life from the foundation of the world. Right? Revelation chapter 13 and verse 8. It's the book of Revelation 14 and verse 10. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. What does that mean? Let's go to it. While everybody else is getting beamed up, you're going to be left here and destroyed, man. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 13. And the angels are going to watch in the presence and the Lamb as you get destroyed. It's the book, right, of Matthew chapter 13 and verse number 30. It says, matter of fact, I'm gonna jump straight to the point. Yeah, I don't want to read too much. I'm gonna start at verse 41. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend. So do you offend? Are you in the way when somebody's trying to do something profitable? Are you bucking up? Are you slothful? Are you offending the Most High? Because you can offend man. You can have a best friend and then he offended you. You understand? You may step on your shoe, may bump on, may talk loud and spit on them, and you don't even know you offending them. Then you got people that just offend you. They stomping on your shoe, they punching you, they cussing you out. It says, out of his kingdom, all things that offend, and them which do iniquity. So, I mean, if you offending the Most High in anything you're doing or committing iniquity, the Lord is going to kill you, man. And shall cast them into the furnace of fire. This furnace of fire is nuclear warfare, World War III, ICBM missiles, man. That's going to hit the face of this earth and utterly destroy it and all inhabitants thereof. And there's only going to be few men left, the remnant, you understand, for slavery, and the ones that are saved about it are going to be the elect. There should be wailing and gashing of teeth, man. So as this is going on and men see it, men are going to be screaming, yelling, running to and fro, screaming from the Most High, you understand, for safety, and grushing up their teeth from their judgment that's going to come to pass. Then shall the righteous shine as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who has ears to hear, let him hear, man. So you're going to be literally what? Destroyed in the presence of the angels, right? And the angels are going to bind you up, right? And not be able to deliver you, right? And let's go back to it. And at the end, that's definitely the harvest. Everything has to bring forth a harvest. You have a seed, right? Then you have water. It gets planted because the earth is a woman. The seed would be whatever it is. The seed could be a philosophy. It could be the understanding of the truth, like Mark 4:4, all the way down. The seed could be anything. It could bring forth children, but nevertheless, the earth is the woman. It brings forth fruit in it, whether it be corrupt fruit or righteous fruit, and it grows up into the time of the harvest. The time of the harvest is the end of the world. Right now, on the spiritual level, you can see the fruit of the world. You can see Matthew 24 going on. You can see Luke 21. You can see Mark 13. You can see all of these prophecies coming to pass in parts of Second Esdras, the 16th chapter. In part, you understand? It says what? And their smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever. Now, a lot of people, they think, well, this is hell. This is where the hell doctrine creeps in. And a little bit of precepts, you see the hell doctrine. That word, forever, it says forever, right? In the Greek, unbroken age, perpetuity of time, eternity. And men kind of leave it right there. But it's also a period of time. Because you could say something, man, he talking forever, man. God, man. Brother, he's not talking forever, man. He's not even going to live forever. He's going to be destroyed. Oh, man, damn, this bus taking forever, man. You got to understand who wrote this Bible. The Most High, Yahweh Shai. And the Most High speaks in a certain way that's a similitude. Everything isn't physical and literal. Let's go to the book of Jude. Right? Let's go to the book of Jude, chapter 1, and verse number 7. It says, even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities round about them, in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, right? They were doing man on man, woman on woman, and probably bestiality, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. What does it mean, the vengeance of eternal fire? Sodom and Gomorrah isn't on fire to this very day, man. It's not on fire to this very day. right? Look at this. You got white people in it, man. Edomites. It's not on fire to this very day. Anybody right now, they can go take a plane trip, go to Sodom and Gomorrah, and they will see that it's not on fire. Not that the scriptures aren't true, you understand? Let the Most High be true and every man a lie, but that there are similitudes, right? Things may say this, but really means that. And you got hip talk. You got clouds, you have arrows, you have different things in the scriptures that mean different things. Now that place, Sodom and Gomorrah, is still very, very fragile to fire. You understand? That thing could get lit. I seen a video on it. We ain't gonna do an in-depth breakdown. I already did an in-depth breakdown on Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah on the Cold Cuts channel. Brothers want to check that out. Sisters want to check that out. Nevertheless, I set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Going back into that word, eternity, internal. It could mean a long period of time. It's hip talk, right? Going back to the book of Revelation, chapter 14, right? In verse number 11. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever, right? And ever. And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Now, the Lord kind of brought forth a similitude as well in the book of Isaiah, the 66th chapter. And Jake is the number one hip talker in the world. I'll beat the brakes off you. I'll beat the brakes off you. I slap the black off you. You talking for days. I'll be there in a minute. It's not literal, right? There's no such thing as hell. Hell is a condition, and it's the grave. Shiloh and Hades in the Greek and the Hebrew, right? Going to the book of Isaiah, chapter 66, right? And verse number 22. And it reads, for as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain, right? Talking about in the kingdom. We'll continue to grow. We'll continue to bring forth children. And one of us will be a nation, mighty nation, bring forth a nation. And it shall, Slakia, and it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, that all flesh will come to worship before me, saith the Lord. Right? So everybody's going to have to come before the Lord and keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Even the heathens. They're going to have to be given the laws, the statutes, the ordinances, and the commandments to be able to praise and come before the Lord. Verse number 24. Read about that in Isaiah, the 2nd chapter, and Micah, the 4th chapter. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. Is that literal? Because they're going to be men that actually transgressed against the Most High in Babylon, which is prophesied in Isaiah, the 13th chapter, to never be inhabited again. So how are these men going to be able to see these carcasses? Let me get Isaiah real fast, 13 and 19. Matter of fact, let me pull it up on here. That's why you have to pray for a heavy level of discernment in this truth as well, man. Because if you don't have discernment, you're likely to be given to doctrines and philosophies. That's why the Lord said, rightly dividing the words of truth. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 13 and 19. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees, excellency shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. Right, meaning it'll be utterly wiped out and destroyed. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherd make their fold there. So the Lord said, Babylon's never going to be inhabited ever again. It's not going to be somewhere where you kick up, you lay, you go visit, right? You raise your kids up in the kingdom. Well, Daddy, where did you grow up? And then you bring them over to your old high school. We used to shoot dice behind the trash can. And that's where I used to go off at. And that's where I used to go off at. And that's where I used to go off at. You're not going to be doing that, man. Right? Verse 21. But the wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures. The owls shall dwell there, and the straits shall dance there, right? And the wild beasts of the island shall cry in their desolate houses, and the dragons in their pleasant places, right? Palaces, and her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. So why is the Lord saying that in one context, it's literally going to look upon carcasses, but on another, that you're never going to inhabit it again? So you have to have discernment and understand that this is not literal, right? Verse 24 in Isaiah 66 and 24, and they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorrent unto all flesh. Now, we're not going to be necessarily an abhorrent to all flesh. That's just a parabolical way, because the Lord said there will be no sorrow, no tears in the kingdom of heaven. So this is a parabolical way of saying you'll remember all of the witchcraft and wickedness that those men have done and how you've gotten a victory. Let's go back to the book of Revelation, right? Chapter 14, verse 12. Here's the patience of the saints. Read that again. Here is the patience of the saints. That's not talking about how a lot of people break it down. Although it could be applicable on that fold, you could break it down that way. Yeah, I'm patient because I want to bash Esau head in, right? No, you got to patiently endure. Patiently go through everything that is hard for you, man. The Lord said this, patiently destroy the nations as well. But more on a deeper level, man, you got to endure, man. You got to be patient. You understand? Acts 14 and 22. It's the book of Psalms chapter 30 and verse 5. For his anger endureth but a moment, and his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. So that joy is going to eventually come in the morning, but you have to patiently endure. You understand that weeping for a night. That weeping for a night is going to get hard, man. Whether that be you losing somebody in the family, your wife committed adultery, your husband, he showed up with 5 wives, bringing them all home. Sin the law. It is what it is. Now they kicking in your door. Now you sleeping on the couch. Whatever the hell going on, you got a temptation, a plague, damn, you got a disease on you, something going on. You got to endure that thing. You have to have patience and have to push forth through the mark, man. So that joy that cometh in the morning by maintaining your integrity, like Abigail. And what happened to Nabal? And the Lord killed that man. So you have to have what? Patience, long suffering, and endurance. These are things that the elect is going to put on by having patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God in the faith of Yahushua. It says keep the commandments. So what are the commandments? The commandments are all throughout the Bible. They're from Genesis to Revelation. If you're teaching that you don't have to keep the commandments of the Lord and you just have to keep the first 5 books, that breakdown is coming soon, man. You got to repent. Verse 13. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, right blessed are the dead which die in the Lord. From henceforth, say the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors and their works do follow them. Right? And those are talking about the martyrs of Yahushua. Let's go to the book of Revelation, the 2nd chapter. It's the book of Revelation, right? So I can bear with me. Chapter 2, and I'm gonna start at this whole thing is fire, right? But I'm gonna start at I ain't gonna read too much of it. So I can bear with me. And it reads, I'm gonna start at verse 12. And to the angel of the church of Pergamos, write, these things saith he that have the sharp sword with 2 edges. I know thy works, and where thou dwellest. Talking about in the Roman Empire, which is Satan's seat is, and Pergamos, the most wickedest city, right? Like New York or Las Vegas. It says, even where Satan's seat is, and thou holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days where Antipas, right, which was a bishop, was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you, where Satan dwelleth. So Antipas didn't deny the Lord, man. He was a martyr. And he caught hell and he went through it for the name of the Lord, man. You understand? You got Matthew. He was stabbed, right, with a sword. You got Mark. He was he was ripped in half by 2 horses. You understand? You got Andrew. He got beaten to death. You understand? With whips and scourges. So, I mean, Yahushua on the cross. Peter, he got crucified upside down. Paul, he got beheaded. You got many men that suffered for the name of the Lord's sake, man. And that's not just talking about suffering in the flesh. Oh, I'm just burning. I need a wife. I need a wife. No, bro, that's not what that's talking about, man. You're going to have to physically feel pain in this thing. Now, you have somebody called St. George, right? Which was an Israelite martyr during the Roman Empire. Now, I'm going to read this. It says, George of Lydia was a Christian who, right, let me get straight to the point. Salaki, bear with me. I don't want to get too deep. Okay, who was sentenced to death for refusing to retain his Christian faith. So St. George, he refused to denounce his Christian faith. Now we know it's not a Christian faith, and we know. But nevertheless, he refused to deny the Lord, man. He became one of the most, right, venerated saints of the Miguelino martyrs in Christianity. And he was especially venerated in a military saint of this since the Crusades, right? So, I mean, he caught hell in this thing, man. Now, we're not going to go too deep into this, man. I may do a whole nother breakdown on the martyrs. I did a breakdown on all of the 12, how they died. He was arrested and tortured. It says the Roman army, because of his Christian faith, he was arrested and tortured. So if they're going to arrest you and torture you, what do you think you're going to do in that day, man? Just be honest. Are you going to fold? Are you going to cry and cry out and say, you know what, I give up? No. I denounce him. I denounce the name. I denounce the faith. What are you going to do? Nobody knows, man. Hey, man, Lord willing, we all make it, man. Everybody watching this live, to be the Most High's mercy. You can't train for that. You can't get your wife to whip you on the back. You try to take the stripes. I'm just gearing up. Check the trouble around the corner. Right? You get your grandmother to beat you with the wooden spoon upside your head. You can't prepare for this, man. You have to be jacked up in the spirit to where nothing else matters, man. Stripped. And your flesh is being damn whooped. And all you have left is your faith, man. It's all you have. You don't have a body anymore. You don't even have a right mind because it's all gone. Everything is just left you but your faith. That's how you got to be in the last days, man. Going back to it, no matter of fact, let me pull another precept. So as it says, their works do follow them, meaning all of their works that they have done, you understand, which are the 1/3, they're going to follow them. Let's go to Revelation chapter 6. Right? In verse, right, number 9. And when he had opened the 5th seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. So you're going to have a selected amount of martyrs that are going to be slain during Jacob's trouble, that are going to receive their white robes and their royal crowns, man. You understand? They're going to receive white robes, their gold crowns, and their works do follow them, meaning everything that they've laid down for the name of the Lord. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, doest thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest for a little season. That little season that they're resting is what? That they may rest from their labors. And their labors isn't necessarily talking about their 9 to 5 jobs. Their labors is all the work they've been putting in for the ministry. That they may work from their labors that they put in and their Babylonian jobs, man. And the stress and anguish that comes in being in Babylon. And their works do follow them. Right? Let me finish off that precept. It says, Salakia, and doest thou not judge them that avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. Meaning everything has to be fulfilled. Everything is a lot. Everything has a time to it. This is Revelation chapter 3 and verse number 5. He that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment. What does it mean you overcometh? The martyr there. And I would not blot out his name out of the book of life, because their works do follow them, and they can rest for a little season, for eternal life, before the Lord comes back on earth, which are going to be the first resurrection, those souls that are martyred. You're going to have those souls that get martyred in Jacob's trouble, leading all the way down, you understand, to World War III, leading down to the day of the Lord. Those souls are going to be beamed back down in their bodies, and the first ones resurrected, because their works follow them. But I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. All right? Let's go back to it. Verse 14. Revelation 14 and 14. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud. Right? Now the narrative shifts. So as you read Revelation, the 14th chapter, and Revelation period, the narrative shifts. Prophecy shifts. And the narrative of what's going on, it shifts a lot. Right now, a brief synopsis, if you just came in late, right? This Revelation 14 and verse 1. And I looked, and lo, Sam's, this is in the second wilderness, where we receive, you understand, our crowns. So the narrative shifts all throughout when you read the book of Revelations, right? And then you have what? The elders, right? With their harps and their vials. Then it talks about the elect, right? Then it goes into all of these different things, which are briefly among the time. Now it goes back in time into Babylon being destroyed. Then it'll go into the patience of the saints. And now we're going into what? When Yahushua comes, right? 14 and 14. You have what? 7 seals. You have 7 trumpets, right? You have all of the different seals have to be sealed and came to pass before the trumpets begin to blow. Because the 7th seal opened up the first trumpet. And it says, and I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and one sat, so like it, and upon the cloud one sat, like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. Right? Let's go to Revelation chapter 6 and verse number 1. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 6 and verse 1. Now that white cloud is the same thing as a white horse, because horses, clouds, rows, all of these things equal chariots, right? Which are the so-called UFOs, the unified flying objects, which the so-called white man doesn't have a clue what's it going into, but the dark elites, they do. This is verse number 2, right? And I saw and behold a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Now, in one context, it says he has a sickle. A sickle, a bow, it's all the same thing. A golden crown, the cloud, the horse, it's all parabolic of the same thing. Now, what is a sickle? Now, the so-called white man, this is where you get Grim Reaper from. He's a Grim Reaper. And the so-called white man always turns something upside down, man. This was just in the movies. It just got to be dark and devilish and demonic, right? But nevertheless, the Lord is coming with a sickle, man. Now, this isn't literal. It's parabolic. That he's coming to do what? Reap the earth of his fruit. Coming to reap the earth of his fruit, man. Right? I'm thinking of this one precept. Salaki, bear with me. I'm going to see if I can find it through the spirit. I want to look for it. Bear with me for 2 seconds. Salaki, bear with me. Let me see if I can type it in here. Con. All right, this is what I want. This is the book of Amos 9:9. It says, "For lo, I will command and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted, right, in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth." So as the Lord comes with that sickle, he's coming to sift. You understand? He's coming to pull us up, and he's coming to destroy with it, man. Now, let's go into that real fast. Sickle. What is a sickle used for? Sickle, one of the most ancient of harvesting tools, consisting of a metal blade, usually curved, attached to a short wooden handle. The short handle forces the user to harvest in a stoop or squatting position. So, what is it used for? To get the crops. You understand? And cutting. So, that's all parabolic when you go back to Revelation 14:14. And I looked and behold a white cloud, and one so like upon the cloud, one set like unto the Son of Man, Yahweh Shai the righteous, having in his head a golden crown. He's the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Revelation, you understand, 19th chapter, verse 16 all the way down. And in his hand a sharp sickle, right? Now, let's go to the book of Matthew real fast, chapter 13. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 13, and verse. I'm going to start at 30. I'm going to start at 38. The field is the world. I'm going to start at 37. He answered and said unto them, he that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. Now, sowing the good seed is the doctrine, the law, the prophecy, the understanding that you're an Israelite, the laws, the commandments. The Lord sowed that into you. But then you have another man or another entity, another spirit, which sows things into you too, which is the devil. He'll sow things in your mind through this hand of using vessels like the white man, the different nations, or just come to you and hops on you and plagues your damn spirit, man, and vexes it and plants into you adultery, lies, vanity, evilness, wickedness. It says the field is the world. So as the Lord comes down, he's doing what? He's bringing the rain and the seeds to water the whole earth. Now, everybody isn't going to get necessarily the seed, but nevertheless, it's all parabolic for the Israelites in the four corners. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, right? The elect. But the tares are the children of the wicked one, right? Of the spiritual demon Satan. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. So even though Yahushua, he has that sickle, who's going to actually reap them, gather them, and get things in line are going to be the angels, man. Now, how do we know that more in depthly? Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 25. How do we know that more in depthly? Let's go to Matthew, chapter 25, right? And verse number 31. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, like we just read, right? And all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations. That's the same thing as Amos 9 and 9 is going to sift them amongst all nations, that everybody's going to come before the Lord. That's not talking about one by one in his judgment day, like the so-called white man makes it up to be. All nations are going to be gathered before him, and he shall separate them one from another, as a sheep divideth his sheep in the midst, Slakia, from the goats. Meaning he's going to say, this is my elect, this is my elect, this is my chosen, this is my handmaid, this is my servant, this is not of me. He's of the spiritual demon Satan. He denied my name. He, whatever the case may be in a harvest, as the Lord beams up the elect. He's going to the angels are going to be separating through the hand of Yahushua, and Yahushua is going to be like the shepherd. Now, what do shepherds do? They lead their sheep, and they split up their sheep, man. Right? Like you had Jacob and Laban, right? Not to get too deep or pull too many precepts, right? Man, it is what it is, though. Right? Let me get this real fast. I know I'm holding 3. And bring it all together. Right? Let's go to the book of Genesis. I believe that's the 30th chapter. Right, there we go. Right? It's the book of Genesis, right? Chapter 30 and verse 20. And it says, and Jacob did separate the lambs. So Jacob separated the lambs, man. What do our forefathers? They're shepherds. David, he cared for the sheep. Yeah, Amos, a gatherer of sycamore fruit. They actually were in the vine, in the cattle, in the fields. They were doing the same thing Yahushua does, man. Because he put his spirit in these men from old. And Jacob did separate the lambs and set the face of the flocks toward the ringstocks, and all the brown in the flocks of Laban, and he put his own flocks by themselves and put them not unto Laban's cattle. So you had 2 different type of cattle, man. You had Laban's cattle and you had Jacob's cattle. Now, Laban, he was going off. Jacob, he was the righteous. It's all the same thing in the spirit. Things have to be separated. You can't have the righteous with the wicked, man. You know, got somebody smoking weed and crack, and you reading the Bible next to him, man. It's an abomination. It says, and it came to pass, whensoever the stronger cattle did conceive, that Jacob laid rods before the eyes of the cattle and the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the cattle were feeble, he put them not in. So the feebler were Laban's and the stronger Jacob's. Yeah, feeble men, men of no understanding, men that don't care, men that are lukewarm and they're feeble, man. Then you have the elect, the strength, the powerful, the mighty. And the man increased exceedingly and had much cattle and maidservants and men servants and camels and asses. Going back to Matthew chapter 25 and 32, right? We'll start at 33. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, which are the elect, right? And which are not the other nations, right? And then the goats on the left, right? But the goats on the left, meaning the other nations and the ones that are not of the Heavenly Father, which are the 2/3, the children of wrath. Then shall the king say unto them on his right, come ye, blessed of my Father, and inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. So the Lord's going to do the separating through the hand of the angels, which are the reapers. You understand? Let's go back to the book of Matthew chapter 13 and 39. And it reads, the enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As for the tares, they are gathered and burned, which are the same thing as the goats, is as the same thing as the feeble. You understand in Genesis. So if you're not on fire and you're feeble all the way to the day of the Lord, you're going to be killed, right? If you're sitting up in this thing and you're a goat behind closed doors and you're not doing what you have to do, those want to kill you. If you're sitting up in here and you're not on fire, and hey, the angels, they just waiting to chop you in two, burned in the fire, so that it shall like you, so shall it be in the end of the world. Check that out. Let's go back to it. It's the book of Revelation, right? Chapter 14 and 15. And another angel came out of the temple. That temple was the tabernacle of witness, right? Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 15 and verse number 5. It's the book of Revelation 15 and 5. And after that, I looked, and behold, the temple of the tabernacle of testimony in heaven was open. So when you see temple, you understand in Revelation, it's talking about the tabernacle of testimony, which is also called the tabernacle of witness, which is also called the tabernacle of congregation, right? It says, and another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle. So this angel is jacked up, man. I mean, he roaring, man. Like Yahushua, he on his way, and the angel just, like you got your damn brother in the stands, and it's a baseball game, it's a basketball game, and they like number 44, and everybody go crazy. Hey, shoot the rock, give them hell on the court. You got your family cheering you on, and that's how this angel is, man. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. Damn, that sounds scary, man. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes 3 and 1. Because to everything there's a time, man. When it's actually time for Yahushua to come and reap the earth, man, what is that to you, man? Are you going to be ready? Are you going to be alive? Are you going to be presentable before him, spotless and blameless? Everybody want to get out of here, but do you really want to see Yahushua face to face? Because he's coming one way, man. He's coming as a fierce man of war. If somebody got their mind made up and you can't change it, you can't talk them down, you can't relax them, and they're on their way for one specific duty, somebody's on their way to kill a robber, and you can't talk them out of just on their way, you better hope you ain't steal nothing. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3 and verse number 1. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. So there's a time to every single purpose. A time for the harvest, a time to plant, a time to heal, a time to grow, a time to kill, a time to laugh. All of these things are spiritual, right? Now, this is a physical level, but nevertheless, you have a spiritual connection is with it. Well, double to that which is. It says a time to be born, meaning it's a physical time to be born, and then there's a time to be born into this truth. A time to die, means it's a physical time to die, and it's a time to die, meaning to kill off that old man. It's a time to plant, meaning you may plant something to bring forth food to be able to eat. You understand? And you have a physical time to plant. Like Yahushua would go down and he would plant men in the garden and it would bring forth fruit. A time to pluck up that which is planted. Like the Lord said, every plant which my heavenly Father have not planted will be rooted out, man. Right in the book of Matthew, chapter 15 and verse 13. So it may be a time for you to fall out the truth and get uprooted and be chopped down in the last days. A time to kill. Man, it's a time to physically kill, and it's a time to spiritually kill, to mortify thy members. It's a time to heal. Man, it's a time to heal. You understand? Whatever it is that's going on, whether it be your arm, your ankle, a blister, a cut, then it's a time to spiritually heal, meaning your nation, build up your people. A time to break down. You could break down physically a house and repair it on a physical level. And it's a time to break down philosophies and doctrines. It's a time to break down lies and confusion. And it's a time to build up. Meaning on a physical level, the kingdom of heaven, but on a spiritual level, you got to build up the kingdom of heaven all over again. Because this is a kingdom. This kingdom is defiled. A time to weep, right? You may lose your so-called mother, father, uncle, sister, brother, auntie, grandfather, or wife, or husband. And then it's a time to do what? It's a time to weep righteously, man. Right? You could weep in this thing, man. And Yahushua wept. It says, and a time to laugh. What's that time to laugh? Because we wept too long. We wept in the vineyards. We wept through oppression. But now we're going to laugh. Like the Lord said, joy, so like paraphrasing greatly. But that's not paraphrasing. Right? It's the book of Psalms. Right? I just pulled this precept. But I'm going to pull it again through the Spirit. Right? And 5. For his anger endure for the moment, but his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. So it's a time to weep, and it's a time to what? You understand? Laugh and dance. A time to mourn, a time to dance. A time to cast away stones. We got cast away. Where the stones? Where the stones in the temple? You understand? Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 20. You understand? Deuteronomy the 27th chapter. First Maccabees, the 4th chapter, verse 40 all the way down. Where the stones? Where the stone? Hey, Yahushua, they refused him. The builders refused, right? It says, and a time to gather stones together. And now we're gathering everybody together, doing the work of the Lord, coming back in the temple, laboring. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and a time to lose. So it's a time to get things, man. Get understanding. It's a time for this, a time for that. But it's also a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. And the Lord's going to cast away a lot of men. Because he kept you. And you took it for granted. You didn't labor. You didn't read. You didn't fast. You didn't pray. And you didn't stay in the spirit. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. So it's not always time to run your mouth, man. It's a time to hear godly discourse of wisdom from elders. It says a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace, man. So, I mean, when the Lord comes back, guess what? It's time for war. And we haven't seen war on this earth yet, man. And in your days of your life, you've been in your city, you're laughing, you're joking. You know, you're going to Five Guys, getting something to eat, getting a burger, right? Well, you want to see in the last days the war and the vengeance that's upon the earth because it's going to reach its peak. Everything has a peak and a flourishing point where it's going to have to reach, you understand, for things to come past. It says, I'm going to read that again. 15. And another angel came out of the temple crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle and reap, but the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. And let me get this real fast too, real quick precept. Right? It's the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 6 and verse 1. And it reads, whether is thy beloved gone, O thou fairest among women? Whether is thy beloved turned aside, that we may seek him with thee? My beloved is gone down into his garden, to the beds of spices, to feed in the gardens and to gather lilies. So the Lord comes down in the garden, which is the nation, and he feeds it. But he's not feeding you all day for fun, man. He's feeding you so that he can eventually gather you, which are the lilies. What does it mean gather you? Meaning beam you up, save you, take you out of captivity, take you out of this wicked, defiled world. So as we get watered, the whole point of it is for the Lord to gather the lilies. How do you do that? By being a gardener, by taking that sickle and sheathing it, man, and gathering up your fruit or your corn or your lilies or whatever you have planted that you want to bring forth a reward, right? Verse 16. And when it says the earth is ripe, meaning it could be no more wickedness at this point, could be no more child sacrifices, could be no more rapes, could be no more robberies, could be no more of anything that is literally came on the earth, man, because it's all came to pass, right? Let me read on from there. And he that sat on the cloud thrusting his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple, which is in heaven, and he also having a sharp sickle, like we just read in Matthew, the 13th chapter. And another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire. So angels have power over the elements, man. Right? Let me get this quick precept. I believe that's Revelations 10 and verse 1. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. Right? So this angel, I mean, hey, it is what it is, man. This angel came down from heaven in all of his glory. You understand, in a cloud, right, which is a chariot. Rainbow was around about his head, and his face was as it were the sun, meaning he shine with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and his feet as pillars of fire. Right? And he had had in his hand a little book. Right? Salaki, bear with me. Let's see if I can pull this precept. I might have to pull it real fast. It might be Revelation, the 19th chapter. Yeah, con. This book of Revelation, chapter 19 and 17. And I saw an angel standing in the sun. So these angels that have power over fire, they stand in the sun. I mean, it's so many angels with so many offices. That's an in-depth breakdown in itself. And he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God. Right? Reading on, Revelations 14 and 18, and another angel came out of the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud voice to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. They're fully plumped. All the wickednesses came up to the Lord. Now it's time to gather the grapes. And the angel thrust in his sickle unto the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. So you have a great wine press. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, right? Chapter 20. Let me get this real fast. Get this precept, all right, and I want to get this other precept at second Esdras 9 and 30. Second Esdras chapter 9, right? Salaki. And 21. And it reads, and I saw and spared it greatly, and have kept me a grape of the cluster, and a plant of a great people. So, I mean, the Lord, he has a whole vineyard. And out of this vineyard, right, I'm going to read 20 again. And I saw and spared it greatly, and have kept me a grape of the cluster. So you have a whole cluster. And out of that whole cluster of the nation, you understand the Lord is only keeping a grape. Meaning it's going to be few men that are actually saved, that are going to endure into the end, that the Lord is going to actually beam up. And a plant of a great people. Let the multitude then, which were born in vain, and let my grape be kept. It says one grape, and my plant, for with great labor have I made it perfect. So the Lord made all of this labor just for the whole vineyard, you understand, to grow, for a whole cluster to be clipped just for one grape. And that had to be the most pleasant, beautifulest, plump grape that the Most High did all of that labor for, man, just to eat, just to have. I mean, who's going to make a whole vineyard? Think about it. You had a vineyard in your backyard. You planted all of the seeds. You kept out all of the eagles, the hawks the owls, the foxes, all of these are the different nations. You protected and fenced it on a physical level, but more spiritual with the angels. They literally grew. You watered it every day. You gave it the sun. You understand, but you didn't scorch it. You gave it just the amount, and it raised up. It got everything that you needed. Nevertheless, out of all of that labor, you took the cluster, looked at the cluster, plucked one grape out, and kept it. And that's what you labored all of that for. The Lord isn't coming to save everybody, man. You got to get through your mind how serious you have to be in this truth to be saved. That this isn't a joke. Can't listen to your husband half the time and be a damn nigger woman the other half. Can't beat your wife upside the head or neglect her, man. You can't not teach your children, or you can't not labor and sit on the couch all day, man. If you really want the kingdom of heaven, it's now or never. Right, let me go back to it. It says, and the angel thrust in his sickle, verse 19, into the earth and gathered the vine of the earth and cast it into the great winepress, right, of the wrath of Almighty God, man. So there's going to be a great winepress on a spiritual level that are going to be what? Destruction and blood and vengeance, right? And it says what? Verse 20. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress. So who's going to be in this winepress trotting it down, man? Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 63. Yahweh Shai the righteous. It's the book, right, of Isaiah, chapter 63 and verse 1. Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Bosworth? So if the Lord isn't all white, how is his garment getting dyed? Through all of the blood, man. That's not a parabolical way of saying that his garment is going to be filled with blood, man. Right? Let me see how I'm gonna word this. I don't know what those men are called. Damn wine stompers. Damn grape stompers. Hold on. Now you have people, right? This is how they would do it to make wine. And they would stomp it in. That's a whole lot of stomping, young. Think of how much stomping you got to do for all these grapes to get all of that blood from the grape, the blood of the grape. This is talking about the world's harvest, man. You know how many people are in the world? Let's get the so-called synopsis. I'm gonna say about 7 to 8 billion. They say 7.753 billion people are in the world, man. Right? I'm led to believe it's way more than that. It's way more than that. But nevertheless, okay, well, they say 8 billion in this one. Right? 8 billion people so-called that in the earth right now, man. You know how much blood that's going to be if man is parabolic for grape in this context? How much stomping, how much murder, bloodshed, man, and vengeance. Look at this. They got a whole thing where they just in it stomping around, these Edomites. They got a pool of Edomites stomping in it. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 63 and verse 1. Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Bosworth? Right? That's the capital of Edom. Right? Now, on a spiritual level, it's talking about America, man. Right? Literally, stomping and treading it down underfoot is a miracle, the chief whore. This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength, right? With the mighty angels behind him. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garment like him that treadeth in the wine fat? Right? It says what? I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood should be sprinkled upon my garment, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in my heart. So right now, in the third heaven, the Most High, while Yahushua, what's in his heart? The day of vengeance. It's not always love. I mean, you can't just love 24/7, man. This isn't Christianity. Nevertheless, the Father's love is always to his people. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But nevertheless, you have to understand that you have to have a just balance. Can't have the sun shining all day and no moon. You understand? No light. It's windy and it's always just windy. Or it's always so-called snowing outside, man. No, it has to have a just balance throughout the whole earth. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come, man. So that's what's in the Most High, Bahashim Yahushua's heart, is the day of vengeance. Going back to it. It says, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse's bridle, right? Which is about 6 feet, man, or more, by the space of 1,604 longs, which is about 200 miles. So, I mean, the blood is going to be over 6 feet tall for over 200 miles long, man. Treading underfoot without the city, which is Babylon, at the uttermost parts of the earth with nuclear destruction. You understand? On top of the vengeance of the holy angels and the vengeance of the redeemed of Yahushua, man, that is within his heart, that tread down and habits the thereof underfoot. Let me get this quick precept. I'm going to close out with this one. Isaiah chapter 42, verse number 13. Right. It's the book Isaiah chapter 42. Shalaki. In verse 13, and it reads, Salaki. And it reads, the Lord shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yea, roar. He shall prevail against his enemies. I have a long time holding my peace. So the Lord right now, he's holding his peace. If you plucking somebody constantly in the air and pushing them or punching them in the chest and the jaw, they're going to eventually hold it in and just let loose. You got certain bullies, man. They'll bully people, push them up against the lockers, slap them around, yell at them, and eventually they lose their damn mind, man. You may have a woman, she holding stuff in and she got them spirits on and she just unleash it all at one time. Hey, the Most High is being patient. He's holding his peace. You may ask somebody something and they say, man, look, I'm not talking about it no more. Then they keep bugging them, and then they quiet. Then they just leap and lash out on you, man. The Lord's not judging the earth on a big level right now. He's turning up prophecy. Yeah, you may have windstorms and earthquakes, volcanoes and things like that, and small war being waged on a low level. But we're talking about the day of the Lord, man. A day of dark gloominess and thick smoke. A day that there would never be, that have been before or after, and never again. The whole world prophesied. It's like the whole Bible prophesies by the day of the Lord, man. From Jacob prophesying to his sons, which will happen in the last days, to John the Revelator, to Isaiah, all of the different prophets from old, even Enoch, man, which prophesied to the Lord of 10,000 coming. You understand? In the time of Adam, that older world, shaking a hand all the way before Abraham was, man. So these things have been before, and the day that the Lord has been putting it in the spirit of the prophets from the foundation of the earth about this day, man, about the day of the Lord. So when the Lord says he have a long time holding his peace, You got to feel him on that and understand what he's actually saying, man. I've been even you think you've been judged just because you came and regenerated back and you were so-called slow or retarded, or you got in a car accident, or whatever the case may be. It's going to be death, vengeance, bloodshed, persecution, and all manner of famine to hit, man. And on top of that, it's going to be Yahweh in the air. You understand? As a mighty man of war. I have long time holding my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. So the Lord's coming back, man, to destroy and to get rid of all of the wickedness and inhabitants thereof. So if you're not reading, praying, and being on fire in the last days, the Lord is going to kill you, man. Remain to have some integrity in yourself. Remain to be on fire and hold yourself to a standard. Whether that's reading every day, 7 chapters, whether that's fasting every Wednesday, every Tuesday, whether it's giving alms every Friday, whether it's keeping a Sabbath day, you understand, with your family part of the day, then the other part you're going out laboring, passing out flyers, whatever you can do, hold yourself and be on fire in this thing, man. And understand that prophecy every single day you wake up is coming to pass. But with that, that was the breakdown of Revelations, the 14th chapter. Lord willing, was edifying. I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach Malak Yahushua. Shalom.